Global Times, 17th of October 2022. Truss is fighting for survival after only 40 stressful days as Prime Minister as the UK is engulfed in instability. Although Rishi Sunak was the finest candidate, Liz Truss was able to serve as the UK's Prime Minister for a brief period. But this did not take place. UK Prime Minister Liz Truss, who has only been in office for about 40 days, is struggling to maintain her political position as more than 100 Conservative Party MPs have threatened to oust her as early as this week due to unrest over her disorganized economic strategy and pressure from the opposition Labour Party. Chinese observers claim that the UK's tumultuous political scenario served as a reminder of how woefully unprepared the nation's governing structure is to address a confluence of social and political issues. The UK's institutional issues cannot be resolved by just removing Truss since its national interests have been subverted by the self-interests of politicians and political parties, they continued. According to unnamed sources cited by the UK's Daily Mail on Sunday, Graham Brady, the leader of the Conservatives' 1992 committee, which oversees the leadership election, would receive a letter of no confidence in Truss from more than 100 MPs. According to UK media, the MPs, some of whom have privately discussed replacing Truss, are anticipated to ask Brady to inform Truss that her time is up or to amend party guidelines to permit an emergency vote of confidence in her leadership. The Prime Minister cannot currently be removed from office by a no-confidence vote within a year of taking office. According to a Guardian report, one former cabinet minister stated they were 50-50 whether she will make it till Christmas. Since the leadership race, a Tory MP who had supported Truss said that his authority is shattered and that they want it done this week. Downing Street responded by warning that removing Truss would lead to a general election when the opposition Labour Party was doing well in surveys. Truss, who defeated Boris Johnson to become the new leader of the Conservative Party and Prime Minister in September, fired her Finance Minister Kwasi Kwarteng on Friday and abandoned portions of her economic plan to slash taxes, which was a failure and sparked a massive backlash. After weeks of financial upheaval and concerns over the recently announced mini-budget, Truss then replaced Kwarteng with Jeremy Hunt, a former Foreign and Health Secretary who had supported Rishi Sunak over her. According to BBC, analysts saw the action as Truss trying to strike a balance among Tories. According to experts, Truss' instability has placed the Tories in a difficult position because frequent leadership changes would further damage their standing with the public. However, the lack of a no-confidence vote to remove Truss would also be detrimental to the Tories' popularity in the long run. Since it left the European Union in 2016, the UK has lost 3 prime ministers. They're all Conservatives: David Cameron, Theresa May, and Boris Johnson. The Global Times reported on Monday that such a practice in the UK has proven problematic for the nation, according to Gui Hongjian, director of the Department of European Studies at the China Institute of International Studies. Even while Johnson was Prime Minister and the Tories held a majority in Parliament, neither party in the UK had a long-term or structural plan for addressing the nation's significant challenges, Gui pointed out. According to Zhang Bei, a Chinese analyst and assistant research fellow at the Department for European Studies of the China Institute of International Studies in Beijing, although the UK has long been known for its pragmatism, it has recently placed a strong emphasis on ideology in both foreign policy and elections, as demonstrated by Truss' most recent victory. Many of Truss' proposals were vehemently populist, and she employed catchphrases to appeal to her fans. Still, Chinese analyst Zhang claimed politicians don't want to accept responsibility when things go wrong. Politicians in the UK, where party politics are dominant, prioritize their interests over the country's. According to Zhang, a significant issue is that political parties and officials' interests have essentially taken over the national interest. According to experts, there is no assurance that Truss' replacement will perform any better in such a populist atmosphere, given that politicians' traits and governance skills expose many flaws and that the UK system is not conducive to transitions. Due to the UK's numerous changes in the Prime Minister, China mocks the country. In China, leaders can only be replaced if they are deceased or exiled.